Hi, everybody. How you doing? Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. Hey, Michaela. Hey, Carolyn. Hey, Gotham. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Samantha. Happy to see you. How much time we got? 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's get started.
Here, so I just like to say that my mom loves to send me manipulative text messages like this. This is one that I got from right around the New Year. So she brought the New Year in great. This is part 142 of turning her text messages into emo songs on Suno. Let's go. Anyways, yeah, that's how she started off.
That kills. That is awesome. That, I listened to a whole album of that. Hold on, let's do another.
This is one that
What I wanted to say to you.
My mom loves to send me manipulative text messages, and every time I get a really good one, I turn them into songs that I made on.
Hold on. Let's read it. Can you see it? Can you see it on there? You might have to zoom up. Okay, let's listen.
So here's today's.
Now I will stop calling my daughter.
Promise.
I get ignored anyways. If you ever miss me or want to invite me over, then you can just call me. I can't wait
Well,
for my life to end.
I missed.
Wait there to say you're sorry that you made me feel so
How embarrassing.
bad. If you even cared about me just a little, you would call me and tell me something. Our relationship was important to you once. I would never have treated you or my
Oh, the
friends
breakdown.
like that.
The halftime, that was sick.
Like I say, I won't be around too long. I love you.
And then ends it like that. Like, that's my everyday life in a nutshell. So I just like to turn
Wow.
them into emo songs on Suno. What do you guys think?
Wow. Okay, hold on. This is crazy. This is insane. You're turning your mom's texts into emo songs. That's insane. All right. There's one more video I need to show you, though. It gets even... The plot thickens, okay? Okay.
My mom loves to send me turn my mom's manipulative text messages into emo songs, and I'm about to play it for her when she comes in the door today. Hey.
This is a good song. Do you remember this?
This is a new song.
No, I used to play this all the time when you were in the car and you were little. That's probably why you remember it.
You've never heard the song before.
Yes. I used to play it all the time.
No way.
Why would I make that up? How'd you get the dog up there?
Not her trying to gaslight me like she knew the song, and she's only played it because she knew the song. But like, what the
Ah! I can't handle it. Ah! Okay. Don't turn your parents' unhinged text messages into emo songs and post them publicly. I mean, I'm very entertained, and I'm not saying I'm not enjoying it, but that's wild. It's rude. So like when it comes to like who's more unhinged there, it sounds like mom. Sounds like mom's in a bit of a rough spot, sending pretty aggressive text messages. And man, this whole girl's account is just her humiliating her mom. So it's like, who's in the wrong? Oh, I don't know. I'm not their therapist. I'm just here eating a burger. I'm like the Michael Jackson meme with the popcorn. I'm like, what? What? That's crazy. What do you think? Look at this. I have TikTok up on the channel now. For those of you who've been watching these shows, I've historically struggled with keeping TikTok going. TikTok live, I mean. All right, now we're here. What do you think? It's a little embarrassing. I don't like that she did this to her mom. Her mom is a little crazy, but that's how I feel. I'm like, mom sounds like, well, I don't know. I don't know the context of the relationship. Mom's reacting strongly, let's say that. And in speaking from her overwhelm, sounds like there's a manipulative edge in there. And the counterattack was pretty intense too. I've not seen you in months. You look so good. Congrats. What changed? I mean, I've been pretty much the same for a few months. What'd I change? Congrats on what? Thanks, pal. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Hey, Ethan, I appreciate you. What do you think about ACBC counseling certification? I don't know what that is. All right. New video. Oh. This is cool.
Mama said,
You really put on.
what I wanted to say to you that my mama said, she said, what happened to you when you were young is not your fault, but now you're a man and it's your responsibility. And I've been living off of that, you know, for a long time, you know, because it's like, if you don't take responsibility at some point, man, it'll never leave you alone. What I wanted to say to you that my mama said, she said, what happened to you when you were young is not your fault, but now you're a man and it's your responsibility.
Rough coming from mom.
And I've been living off of that, you know, for a long.
All right, here's the thing. I'll eat this in a minute. I'm having my lunch. It's lunchtime. But I'm happy to be with you. Let's figure this out. Because, you could think like, I spilled water. All right, it's your responsibility. You know, it's not your fault it happened, but it is your responsibility to figure it out. I mean, that's kind of a salt in the wound, kick while I'm down kind of vibes, depending on the parent. It sounds like the gentleman in the video has a warm relationship with mom. That was a meaningful statement that really had a positive impact on him. Good. He's not wrong, too. I think he's right. But let me try to break this down, because that is like I said, it's kind of like a, well, thanks a lot, you know, coming from a parent. It's like, well, listen, you know, here's how the line goes for a lot of adult kids. Parents will come to the adult kid and say something like, hey, you know, I did my best here. I did my best raising you. Sorry you have some discontentments with how I raised you, but that's life. It's, you're not responsible for what happened to you. Listen, what happened. That wasn't your fault, but it's your responsibility to do something about it. It's your life. You got to grow up and kind of take ownership for your part. You can't stand around whining about it. Now, as with all compelling false statements, there's a grain of truth there that that is actually very compelling and very wise and helpful if we can, I think, reshape it just a tad. I think about it like, let's say that you were given a house. Man, that would be sweet. Does anyone have a friend whose like parents like bought them a house? I had one of those friends in high school, and I was like, what? It's like, yeah, my dad bought me a house so that we'd have an investment. We rent it, and I'm like, gosh, well, good for you. Most of us can't even be buying houses out here, much less dad buying you a house. Good grief. Okay, so by the way, I'm gonna do some questions in a minute. I'm getting some questions in the chat. The good people on TikTok, like, hey, I have questions. Hey, I have questions. That's good. Let me get to it. I'll do this video. We'll do some Q&A. I'm happy you're here. By the way, I have an event coming up Monday. If you're working through parent-child estrangement, if you have I don't know, just conflict with the family that just feels overwhelming. You're trying to figure it out. You're a parent or a kid. You should come. You should come to the event. It's on Monday. You can go to estrangement.com/live. Or if you're on Instagram or TikTok, sorry, not TikTok. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, you can just comment the word event. It'll just DM it to you. Man, what a crazy world we live in. All right, back to it. Let's say that your parents bought you or gave you your childhood home. That's pretty sweet. Gave you your childhood home. And you signed the lease. It's yours now. It belongs to you. Now, you find out that downstairs, there's like mold in the basement. And that's an issue because you didn't put the mold there. All right, maybe it was your dad, didn't fix a broken pipe. Maybe he knew about it. It was his responsibility to know about it because it was spreading mold throughout your home. And you had to grow up breathing in that mold, maybe for most of your childhood life. And now you're living in there. Let's say you even have a family. Your family's living in this house and there's mold in the basement. You didn't put it there, but it's your job to clean it up. Not fair. Correct. Not fair. But if you were to go to your parent and be like, hey, you got to clean up the mold because it's like, hey, you didn't fix the broken pipe. Now there's mold in this house. You got to clean it up. I didn't do that. That wasn't my fault. I was just a kid when that pipe burst. So I shouldn't be the one who has to go down there and pay for the bill to fix this. But then at the end of the day, if you go to the police and you try to enforce, that conviction of yours, what are the policemen going to tell you? Yeah, they're going to tell you it's your house. Because you signed the deed. It's your name on the deed. So you're the one who has to go in and clean up the mold, even though it's not fair. Now you could say, I'm not going to clean it up. Forget that. I didn't put it there. It's not my job to clean it up. But you're the only one who suffers by that mold not getting cleaned up because those spores are going to spread through the whole house. And it's not just going to affect you. It's going to affect your family, everyone else living there. Everyone who comes over to your house is going to be affected by this mold. And so you're really the only one who suffers by not cleaning it up. Dad's over here, living in his own house. And he's not affected by it. So by you being over here and just being like, hey, it's not fair that all these terrible things happen to me. Why should I have to, XYZ? Well, you're the only one who suffers. So there is a grain of truth here where it's like, okay, well, what happened to you is not your fault. And it's your job to clean this mess up. And it is unfair until you back up a little bit and you realize, you know what? I've probably had some negative impact on other people in my life too. There's been times when I've been dysregulated. There's been times when I haven't been fully within my values, acting with a full night's rest. And some other people have had to clean up some of my mess or clean up a mess that I made in their life. And you realize that's kind of just part of the human experience, is that you inherit stuff that you didn't pick. You're born into a family you couldn't select. You have burdens that you didn't choose to load into your pack. But you do choose which burdens you carry with you. And you do get to pick which ones you continue to pass on consensually. As you learn about them, you figure them out and you learn how to drop them. Or heal them is the better word. Heal them. So there is freedom. There's freedom in that. There's freedom in turning your attention from the hurt and bitterness of the past and turning the attention onto, okay, what does that mean about me now? What does it mean about this world that I'm in? How does that inform how I engage? Some of that engagement might need to be going back and reprocessing some of what happened in the past. Not just ruminating on it, talking about it, yapping about it, but like healing it. And then some of it's going to inform how you trust other people, how you trust your family members, who you invite over to the house. Dad, I don't know. I don't know if I want you out here. You're throwing mold places. Okay, good, fine. That's how I'd engage that. What do you think? I just can't draw the line. What do you mean, Sam? Yeah. Future cake. It's like, literally, your trauma is not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility, or else. It's true. It's like the healing is it's kind of like you inherited all this stuff in your human experience, and what are you going to leave behind? You leave behind the things you avoid and the things you intentionally craft and set forward by the deliberation of your heart and will. Here, Sam, expand in the chat. I'll tell you more. Yeah, I can't seem to not feel angry underneath for my father. Should know how to heal without him, but unable to. Well, Laura, I think that one of the pieces there is that you're allowed to feel angry, and that anger should be witnessed. I don't think that anger is something that we just kind of lock up inside or we try to ignore or just move on from. I think that anger is something that we work through in therapy. And what I mean, someone should hear how terrible it was. Not everybody, maybe. You don't need to go spread it around town. You don't need to make an account making fun of your mom with emo songs. That's an option, I guess, that is now available in the world of AI, but we probably shouldn't do that. I think that generally, though, you need to go to therapy. You need to have maybe a close friend, maybe a mentor, someone you trust, and you share with them what it was like, not just what happened, not just the police report. My mom was rude, she was mean, she was critical, she never accepted me for this or that. That's fine. That's like good context, but that's actually not the meat of it. The meat of it is, what was it like to grow up and not have anyone who felt safe, that felt like they really understood you, and cared not just how to fix the problem, but how you experienced the problem. What it felt like for you. What it felt like to be alone. To not know what to do next. To not know how to say it. And for no one to ask questions and to investigate and try to get into your inner world. Your inner world. I mean, that's the substance of what I'm talking about in healing. When that is witnessed, and you can see not just in your own heart, but in the eyes of someone wise, grounded, oh, that shouldn't have happened. You didn't deserve that. Like, it's not just something we need to be convinced of here. I think a lot of people in the chat would be like, yeah, I know it wasn't my fault. I know I didn't deserve it. I know this and that and the other thing. Do you remember the old Robin Williams, Matt Damon movie? You guys know I'm talking about, that scene where Robin Williams is the therapist. Why am I blanking on the name of the movie? Who knows the name of the movie? Come on. Who knows? Come on, chat. Don't let me down. Good Will Hunting. Thanks, Mama W. Yeah, and the chat goes wild. All right, yeah. So we got Good Will Hunting. It's like the thing that about it was like there was this moment where the therapist looks at the young guy and he's just like, "Hey, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault." It wasn't just that he was just trying to intellectually convince him of that. It was like the therapist, he felt seen by him. He felt known by him. He felt like perceived and understood. Everyone else in the world has expectations of him, and this guy just purely cared about him as a person, him as a man. So that was the chemical reaction, was not just, hey, let me tell you, maybe you've never thought of this before. It's not your fault. It was like the mirroring, the witnessing, the chemical reaction between two souls where someone's really telling you the truth and you can feel the truth. And it's like, oh, you see me, you see all the stuff that I'm ashamed of and all the stuff I try to hide from everybody. And you still accept me, and you still move towards me in love. Experiencing that's the gold. It's a piece of it, not the whole thing of healing. That's a piece of it, though. Chef's kiss. All right. Yeah. So, Laura, someone needs to see the anger. Until someone sees it, it'll stay there. And I think then we move through it. It's not something we get rid of, it's something we go through. And when we really give way to it, we really let it be seen. We really kind of let ourselves go there. It's like it goes up and it goes down. And we don't go there in the sense of going to some room where you, what are they called? Crash rooms, smash rooms, the places where you smash a lamp or a TV or something. That doesn't work. Because no one's witnessing it. It's not just you're not a big tea kettle with pressure that needs to get out. It's an emotional wound that needs to be witnessed and held. Does that make sense? That's that. All right. Let's do another video.
But I wanted to say to you that my mama said, she said,
I've been no contact with my dad for a little over 2 years, and there are many, many reasons for that, but recently he just for the first time asked me why, and I thought that was really funny because it's been like 2 years and he's never really asked me why I cut him off, and I responded to him, why don't you give me a list of reasons why you think I cut you off, and I'll let you know which ones resonate. And I think this is a genius response to a narcissist because I feel like they're always trying to put the work on you. They're like, what, you tell me why, you give me a list, you make this make sense for me. Like, no, why don't you self-reflect? Why don't you become a little bit self-aware and ask yourself, why would this person want to cut me off? Make them answer their own damn question. I've been no contact with my dad for
No. Wrong. Okay, here's why. You have two choices when it comes to a parent. You can make a request, or you can set a boundary. Those are your choices. A boundary, you don't need their consent, you don't need them to get on board, you don't need them to understand you, you don't need to, nothing's really required of them. It's like a cause and effect. If you do not take your shoes off, you cannot come in my house. If you speak to me that way, we're not gonna have dinner together. If you keep drinking, I'm not gonna bring the kids around. It's like a cause and effect. This is a boundary. It's a lot more about what you're gonna do, not what they should or need to do. It's helping someone track with why you're making the decisions that you are. It's a courtesy. It's something that you express so that you can have a relationship. Like, here's the boundaries of the relationship. Right? Even something like going no contact. A lot of people choose even not to inform their parent that they're going no contact. The people who do, what you're trying to do is like, I want to almost like kind of offer you some cause and effect. I want you to see what happens so that if it's an invitation, so that if you want, you can take that in and that can be used for some self-reflection. Okay, so that's a boundary. The second one is a request. A request is like, I would like you to behave this way. I would like you to take some accountability. I would like you to see my perspective. I would like for you to reflect on how you've hurt me. I would like for you to da-da-da-da-da. And so the reality is that if you're going to make a request, you likely need to meet them where they're at, and you need to be gentle and kind, understanding, expressing empathy, acknowledging their intentions, and all the things. That is like, that's emotional labor, and it's not fair. I think that's what every adult kid says, and they're correct. It's like, well, hold on, I get traumatized, and I get hurt, and I get, gaslit, whatever, and then now I have to hold your hand and help you, understand how you hurt me and give you a class on emotional maturity. Not fair. And what I say is correct. Correct. It's not fair. And the illusion that you can speak harshly and someone should respond to your requests is not reality. That's just not how persuasion or human motivation or change works. If you shame somebody, all they'll do is comply out of fear or guilt, but they won't actually transform. That's just not how it works. And so if you have that internal desire to be like, listen, this is not fair that you keep asking me what you did wrong. Like, I have to spell it out for you, and I don't want to engage in that kind of emotional education. I think that you don't have an obligation to, if you're not wanting to repair the relationship. If you're just wanting to stay boundaried or stay far away or stay estranged, like, that's your prerogative. It would be wise for you to set a boundary, not to try to be clever and give a really vague question that beckons them to rise to a level of emotional maturity that apparently they don't have, or awareness they don't have, to play your psychological game. Like, and I'm not saying this it's the person who made the video. I'm not saying this at you. I'm saying this at the general population of people that struggle with this sort of thing. It sounds like you've been through some hurt. I'm not coming at you harshly. I'm saying that if we're going to talk about pragmatically what makes sense, we have two options. One is that we set the boundary, and in that, you don't expend all the emotional labor, and you're not on the hook for educating and then holding their hand and helping them figure through it. Like, assuming that the parent is really in a desperate spot and not all those things. You don't. You can hold your boundary. But if you're going to then move over into, well, I would like you to understand how it hurt me, and I would like you to understand how this affected me, and I would like you to understand and maybe grow and repair or make improvements, you got to be kind. You can't do this from your hurt. You got to do this from a place of peace, groundedness, from the grown-up in you, not from the inner child. And so that means that some of these little, you feel justified, but it's not going to lead to anything positive. And then if you're like, well, I don't want to do the emotional labor thing, but then I also want a relationship. And I'm like, fine. So what you do is you heal first. You heal that pain. And then you move into the repair process if you want to. We want both. We want boundaries and we want them to change. We don't want to have emotional labor, but we want acknowledgement. It's not fair. In my mind, the two choices that keep you healthy, keep you grounded, that are respectful towards your parents, is you set a boundary, and then you don't engage in all of the little whatevers, or you make a request that's from the grown-up in you. I say that with a heavy heart, because I know it's not easy. I'm sorry. Let's look at the chat. What do you think? What do you think? Thanks to everyone who sent things. I don't know what any of it means. Hearts and roses. And I think those are money, so that's kind. Hey, by the way, I'm doing an event on parent-child estrangement. It's on Monday. I'm walking through how to heal from just the family conflict, but also for parents watching, they're like, I want to engage. I want to figure out how to heal this relationship. You should come. If you're on Instagram, Facebook, you can just put the word event below. If you are on TikTok or if you're YouTube, Kick, Twitch, all the places, you just go to estrangement.com/live and you can get the Zoom link. Sign up. Love to see you there. All right. What's happening? I've learned to accept the limited relationships with those who are never going to see the wrong. Yeah, well, and I think that's the mature thing to do. I think the two mature options are to just accept things the way they are, to consent to being in the relationship with the presence of the bad behavior. If you consent to that knowingly, and that's something you want to do, that's fine, that's good. The other option is to get distance and say, no, I don't really want to engage in the behavior with the presence of that thing. Or you can send invitations for change, but from a place of graciousness. How do you even start the conversation? Come to my live on Monday. I'll talk about it. Monday, go to estrangement.com/live. I'm doing a live event 2 different times during the day. Come to my Zoom event. I'll walk you through it. Is it dramatic to ask for distance after we broke up? I think that's what a breakup is, girl. Oh, wait, Ethan. Sorry. My brother. All right. How do you get them to accept accountability? You can't get them to. You can send an invitation, but that's a request. A request that they see your point of view and your experience. Right? I mean, so you do so graciously. You do so step by step. You meet them where they're at. And that's unfair. That's the point. It's like it's unfair that it is that way. But that's why I think healing first, there's almost like if you can get to a place where the accountability that they take or don't take actually is not a determiner of your confidence, your identity, your healing, your peace. It takes all the pressure out of it, and then you can come towards them with compassion. And there's less on the line, and you're less triggered, you're less agitated. Key thing here, you're less exhausted by the whole experience. Yeah. Looking through Instagram. How we doing, IG? How you doing? How you doing? Christopher asks on IG. Here, let's see if I can go to IG. Whoa, it's a little bit wonky. Hold on. I feel like this happens every time. Sorry, team. There we go, there we go, there we go. Not so bad. All right. IG, what's happening? How are you? That's good. I need a little bit more room. Oh, Britt, you're struggling. I'm sorry. All right. Thank you for all your content. Yeah, you're welcome, Christopher. You had a question, though. How do I set a boundary with an old narcissistic friend who is trying to rekindle the friendship? I've agreed to coffee today, but I still don't feel like I shouldn't re-engage in a full friendship. I mean, the question is someone willing to have a partial relationship with you? Or are they going to demand all or nothing? I mean, that's kind of the determiner. Like, and what I mean by that is, are they going to be intrusive, push past the boundaries and the social cues you're setting? If so, then probably not. Probably not. It's probably not going to be a relationship that's going to add to your life. If they can take some of those cues and respect some of those boundaries without being intrusive, then there might be a marginal, every once in a while when I run into you kind of relationship. You know? You don't say that, though. I don't think there's a way... Hold on, let me chew nut in the microphone. I don't think there's a way of saying, I don't like you very much, but I'm willing to tolerate you partially if you chill. You gotta kind of have a cover story that allows them to save face. It's a social etiquette, politeness thing. People have different opinions on that. Low context, American, highly individualistic folks are going to say, nope, I shoot him straight. I say exactly what I'm thinking, no polish. And I just say, you know what? I think you're kind of a piece of work, but I'm willing to tolerate you because sometimes you're nice to hang out with. I mostly feel guilty. So I'll hang with you if you can just be chill. You can. That is an option. You will get a bad response. And then individualistic folks are going to say, well, I guess we weren't aligned. And you're going to pat yourself on the shoulder for being emotionally mature. When you don't, that's a cultural thing. Every other culture in all of history, through all of time, has had a dynamic called saving face, where you, through omission, protect the other person from feeling humiliated and shamed. And you say something along the lines of like, it's a busy time in my life right now, really focusing on family, really focusing on work. I'd love to see you, but to be honest with you, I just want you to feel fully prepared for this. I really can't hang more than once every couple months. Be happy to, when I run into you, when I see you at the gym, catch up. But as far as like us get the families together, us hanging out, I'm not really in a space where I have time to commit to that. I don't want you to feel like I'm stuffing you. I don't want you to feel like I'm, pushing you off. So I just wanted to let you know up front. Things are busy. So, hey, that's a way that you help someone save face, save them from humiliation. I think it's kind. Some people think that that's a bit too, you're positioning, Maybe you are busy. Maybe that's the truth because you don't have time to offer emotionally strenuous relationships right now, given all the obligations and commitments and responsibilities that you're holding. It's not a lie. But you are omitting the part of the context that will humiliate them and hurt their feelings. Kindness, what kindness is choosing to be thoughtful of the other person's experience. Okay, take that as you will. Girl, LOL. I don't know what that's in reference to. Hey, I'm doing an event Monday. If you're working through parent-child estrangement, you're trying to figure out what to do with your parents or your kid, your adult kid cut you off, you haven't spoken in a while, come to my event. If you're on Instagram and Facebook, just comment the word event. If you're on TikTok, YouTube, everywhere else, go to estrangement.com/live. Would love to see you there. All right, next question. Someone said, dude, chill out on the commentary. And I thought that was in reference to me, but I'm like, but it's my live. That's what this is me commentating. But I don't think he's talking to me. And I don't think it's wrong to have commentary in the comments. That's what comments are. Comments are commentary. You're allowed to comment. You're allowed to comment. Okay, so Journey resonated with something I was saying. It's like, you nailed it. She refuses to have a partial relationship with me and build from there. She demands all or nothing, her way or nothing. And I think it's helpful to know, too, most people, that's a lot of fear. It's fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. That pushes them to be like, we got to be like perfect best friends, right? Or nothing, you know, so that's a sign of emotional maturity, not being able to be patient. That's what it is. To be patient and build trust over time, and to tolerate someone being amused but not in love with you. You know, it's friendships take time to build, you know. All right. Looking through things here. One sec. I'll give you some background music as I read comments. Hey. Yes. Yeah, honest and direct. Fair. Yeah, those are the two ways to approach it. Oh, awesome. Hey, I'm excited for you. Hey, I really wish you well. Way to take that step and jump in. Hey, I'm excited. I'm excited that you're coming to the event Monday. If you're on Instagram, type the word event. I'll send you the Zoom link. All right. What about TikTok? Any questions? I think do therapists, psychiatrists look at you differently if you've been to a mental health facility? Differently in the sense that we want to make sure that you're okay and that we're going to take care and caution to make sure you have the support that you need. Not like in a shame way, like you're broken or something. I think that you'd find most therapists have been through the ringer. Man, I'm thinking about most of the people that do therapy trainings. I go around conferences and do trainings for therapists around parent-child estrangement. So I kind of do circles around a few different big conferences. I'd say most of the speakers that are training the therapists have had pretty severe mental health struggles. Some of them have been in a mental health facility, whether that's a psych ward or the ER. Gosh. I know someone that I've read, one of my favorite people, Steve Hayes. He went to the ER for panic attacks over and over and over. Yeah, I mean, we're all human, you know. I think, I don't know about psychiatrists. Psychiatrists kind of seem to have it more together. Their brains, you know, they kind of like, I don't know many psychiatrists that have been in the psych ward. Maybe it feels too much like work. I don't want to go. Okay. Hey, love your vids. How do you handle trauma as a pastor's kid? Oh, that's a good question. I don't think this is just a struggle for pastors' kids. I think it's a struggle for most people who just grow up religious. It is a struggle for pastors' kids. I'm just saying that we can widen the spectrum here. Is that it's going to be really difficult to separate your parent wounding, your wounding from your mom and dad, and your experience of God. It's so natural to relate to God the way you relate to your mom and dad. So if your mom was withholding and critical and cold, it's very easy to experience God as withholding, critical, and cold. If your dad had a lot of standards, was angry, was punitive, It's very easy to experience God as angry and punitive. And I think the differentiation between my parents, which is like the archetypal neurological like authority figure, it's all of our mapping around authority and power is centered around our parents first and foremost. And so it's so easy to to mix the two. And it's like, oh, I feel like God doesn't love me. I feel like God doesn't this, or I feel like God doesn't that. And it's like, well, maybe, and maybe your parents had a lot to do with that. So when you can differentiate the two, then you can, I think the path is healing specifically your stuff with dad, and then healing specifically your stuff with mom, healing specifically your doubts, inner conflicts, struggles with God, which is so hard because it's like, gosh, like I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to commit heresy. I don't want to be exiled from the church. And it's like, okay, and you got to come to God in spirit and in truth. And if there's a part of you that's really struggling and doesn't have the answer to key questions, I think God's big enough to hold it with you and to go on the journey with you. I see that in Jesus. I see like people coming to Jesus with all sorts of questions. Jesus cared way more about the heart underneath the question than the question itself. You have the Samaritan woman who's like, hey, do we worship God on the hill? Do we worship God in the temple? And Jesus is like, spirit and truth. Spirit and truth, girl. I just want you. And then I think the closer we get to him, all the theological stuff, the church stuff, figures its way out in time. All right. That's that. I could talk about that for 4 hours, but yeah, hey, same here. Yeah. Struggling going back and forth because of past trauma that I want to heal from. I'm sorry. What's the best way to find a therapist that also believes in the spiritual or the woo ways? The woo ways? What's the woo ways? The woo woo ways. Depends what form of woo woo. Man, if you want like spiritual, kind of more general, like folks who like kind of do stuff with like energy work, past lives, spirituality, maybe like a mixture with like psychedelics. Like, man, there's lots of little like camps and circles that play in those waters. I don't know. I'm not the best guy to ask, to be honest. I think that you can ask the therapist directly. What I would do is I would go on Psychologist Today or Psychology Today or Therapist.com. And when you're kind of going through the different therapists that maybe look like a good fit, you can just send them an email and ask a lot of questions. Like, I don't think people realize you can do that. Hey, what are your spiritual beliefs? What are your religious beliefs? This is kind of where I'm sitting. Is that a place where we're aligned, or do you hold something different there? You're allowed to ask those questions. Would you recommend ketamine therapy? Nope. Big reason no on the ketamine therapy is like the results don't seem to hold. Like, I think that, and I know a lot of the people that are doing these trials that have worked on the Johns Hopkins trials that have been in conducting the studies in Stanford, Harvard, and whatnot, and ketamine isn't the thing that most people are excited about. MDMA, that's cool. Let me look something up real quick. Yeah, it was MDMA and psilocybin. Yep, those were the two that I think have the most potential for trauma. Ketamine's in there. I mean, we're kind of testing everything. We're kind of just seeing what works. But it seems that the psychedelics, because they all do different things in the brain. I think a lot of people don't necessarily know that when it's like, oh, do psychedelics heal trauma? And it's like, well, I mean, hey, they all do different things in the brain. They release different neurochemicals. They function in different, sometimes different sections of the brain. So it's like you have essentially like the ones that antagonize serotonin receptors, and then you have psychedelics that do different things. And so I think that when you're looking at ketamine, it doesn't seem like it has the highest likelihood of being the psychedelic treatment. That, to me, seems like the most current read on it. It seems like MDMA has the highest, followed by psilocybin. But the integration stuff is just as important. A lot of people think that it's like the drug itself that kind of cures you. Like I have this trip, and I come out healed. That's not really how it works. You go, you have a trip, it really helps you access some stuff you haven't before, and then you integrate that with a therapist. And so the quality and skill of the therapist within the session is just as important. Yeah. I don't think that you go to the moon on DMT for 10 minutes and then you come back a changed person. You'll come back a weird person. Probably shouldn't have said that on a live. All right. Well, sorry. All right. What are your thoughts on EMDR? I'm all about EMDR. I use EMDR. That's my main thing that I use in session with clients. Is EMDR. I think EMDR 2.0 is pretty cool. I'm a pretty big fan of Flash, so you could think like EMDR, there's like some camps. This might be interesting for some people. When you're thinking about trauma therapy, like there's different camps of trauma therapy. You could think like there's like the EMDR camp. There's like IFS, internal family systems. There's CBT. And there's kind of like offshoots you could think of, like here, I'll put this centered. There's like offshoots of like trauma therapies that are similar and kind of have different bells and whistles to it, you know. So in parts work, there's all sorts of different parts work in IFS world. But CBT, I mean, you have CPT. That's a little bit different. I think like in EMDR, there's a whole bunch of fun ones. There's EMDR 2.0, but then there's EMDR, there's the Flash stuff. I love the Flash stuff. I think it's super cool. There's, what else is in there? What else is in that soup of therapy styles? Brain spotting. But yeah, in CBT, or trauma CBT, trauma-focused CBT, and you can't see it. And CPT are really cool. I think accelerated experimental psychodynamic therapy is I don't know much about it, but that seems to be kind of more adjacent to the CPT world. I'm probably gonna get crapped on for associating it with CBT, but whatever. You're essentially, what you're trying to do is you're trying to kind of think, what is the thing that I want to do in therapy? EMDR, brain spotting, Flash, this is all like reprocessing. You're not necessarily doing tons of reflection and dialogue about what everything means. A good EMDR therapist has the chops and the skills to like help you integrate and process those memories. It's very memory focused. It's like, let's go back into a memory and then let's try to reprocess it and focus on it. CBT, CPT, accelerated experimental, AADP. I mean, this stuff, again, I don't know a lot about AADP. I probably shouldn't include this on the list. I'm not going to make claims about it. I don't know very well. Let's just talk about CBT and CPT. This is really focused on like how you're thinking about it and your mindset, and essentially the kind of like, I'd actually put DBT in here too. DBT. These are really focused on essentially, okay, when you are triggered, when you are dysregulated, what do you do with it? Are you able to get into wise mind? Are you able to grab onto the truth? Are you able to notice when you're engaged in irrational, dysfunctional, destructive behavior, and then can you get back to center? CPT is very like, can you process the story, but then can you identify the truth? How is the narrative resulting in distortions in your thoughts and in the way you're making meaning out of it, and can we correct that? So you could think like this camp goes after the memories. This camp goes after kind of the thought process. IFS, talks about parts. I mean, that's when you hear parts work. I mean, it's somewhat of like it's not a mixture of the two. It's kind of its own thing. Parts work is like you have these different parts of you. Like you have a part of you that really wants to be with your parents. You have a part of you that wants to reject your parents. You have a part of you that really wants to that loves your job. A part of you that wants to be doing something different. A part of you that really loves your spouse and wants to be engaged with your spouse. And a part of you that's just like, I don't know, like I feel kind of lonesome, or I kind of miss my freedom. You know, so it's like you have these inner dialogue and these inner conflicts. And what IFS does is it kind of like personifies those parts, and then you dialogue in somewhat of a psychodrama. The different parts of you almost like they're at a table having a dialogue with each other. And everything is led by what's called self, you know, which is kind of this energetic core that is you and is also connected to the divine. That's how IFS thinks about it. It's a psychological modality, but also has a big spiritual component. So yeah, it's experiential. I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't know much about some of the other modalities that engage psychodramas, but it's interesting. It's a cool thought experiment. I think it's really compelling. It can be really helpful. Those are like, I think, the main trauma therapies that you're choosing between. If it were me, I would go to EMDR. That'd be my first one. You could try EMDR 2.0. That's pretty dope. It's kind of a faster version of EMDR. And then I love IFS. I trained in IFS for years with Frank Anderson. I think IFS is either really helpful or you can get caught kind of overanalyzing everything, and it almost becomes kind of heady. So it kind of depends on the person. I love CBT and CBT and DBT. I would probably go DBT out of those three, though. So if I were looking for a therapist, I would go like, all right, find me an EMDR therapist. I'd go on the EMDR website first. The EMDR website, EMDRIA is what it's called, EMDR IA. You can actually look for people who are certified and then people who are consultants. Consultants is like a level 2. So level 1 is like certified. Level 2 is consultant. That means that they've had hours of people like watching them do EMDR and they're actually good at it. Great. So yeah, I would look on that registry for someone who does EMDR. And then on the DBT side, I actually don't know the levels of certification in DBT. And then in IFS, they have a level 1, 2, and 3. So you could look for someone, I would say, like a level 2 or above who does internal family systems. The training they get in a level 2 is they have introductions to something called unburdenings, which is like the healing part of the trauma healing part. It's pretty crucial. Yeah, so I would do that. Like I said, there's other cool ones. There's eFit by Sue Johnson. There's all the somatic stuff, somatic experiencing, and but that's not exactly a trauma therapy. I don't even think that he claims that it's a trauma therapy. It's a processing tool, but it's not therapy per se. It's body work. It dovetails with therapy just beautifully. But yeah, Peter Levine doesn't actually. He has trouble categorizing it too. If you read his book, I like that a lot. If I were trying to work through complex trauma stuff with my parents, I think IFS would be pretty powerful. Somatic experiencing could be good as well, especially if there was abuse dynamics, if there was like physical violence, if there was other forms of abuse. Somatic experiencing would be really good. That's my take. Take it or leave it. What do you guys think? Oh. Yeah, EMDR is done by someone who's licensed. That's not something coaches do. Yeah, virtually is great. I do EMDR virtually. Works great. I've had it done on me virtually. Oh, sorry. Oh, I should be looking at this. Let me fix something. Because this is bugging me. That is so much easier to look at. Without all the bells and whistles. Okay. Yeah, EMDR has helped you a lot. I'm so glad. Deep brain reorienting. Nope, don't know about it. Neurofeedback's really cool. We didn't talk about that. That's not therapy either, but you should look into that. I think that's fantastic as well. I'm looking at just kind of the commentary around the trauma stuff. Yeah, DBT. Hey, awesome. Glad you got out of DBT. I hope it was helpful. Oh, I'm so glad, the Black Pearl. Yeah, Grant, I think I answered those questions. I would pair them together. If I could just pick, I would do EMDR and somatic experiencing at the same time. I would let those therapists talk to each other. I would sign releases so that they could create a treatment plan where they're working on things together in tandem. That to me is like the super combo. That's what I would recommend. IFS for integration. would be a strong addition to that. So you could think, let's do some EMDR and somatic for a little bit, and then some IFS afterwards. Some people might put that before. That's fine too. Just took training on EMDR with somatic and vault. Seems cool. Yep, people are always mixing and matching. I love it. I'm all about it. Does one go about getting brain scans? I'm not sure. I'm not a neurologist or psychiatrist. I couldn't tell you the efficacy of the brain scans in reference to mental health treatment. Therapists aren't trained on that. That's not in our education. Yeah, EMDR with parts. Yeah, the parts show up. I mean, it's not like all these things need to be totally blocked off from each other. That people mix and match, certainly. But if we're talking about the function of each one, I think that they all kind of attend to different sorts of things. Do you believe in behavioral medication? Which ones? I don't know an ET. Yeah, eclectic styles exist now. It's good because we're in a. You're right. Like people mix and match, and that's neat. I'm all about that. As long as it's helpful, as long as it doesn't make it worse. There's a few like staples, a few pillars that need to be kind of kept in place, in order for it to be helpful and not make things worse. That's a conversation for another time, though. Hey, that's kind, Castor. Thank you. Here, let's go over to Instagram. Hi, IG. What are you up to? Someone asked, when you say overanalyze when it comes to IFS, what do you mean by that? I'm an overthinker, but haven't experienced that in my sessions. Is that something that happens a lot, or just depends on the person? I mean, my hope is that you have a really skilled IFS clinician that doesn't let your managers take over and overanalyze everything. We call it self-like parts or self-adjacent parts in IFS. And so, yeah, there's parts of you that just kind of want to put everything in their camp and understand and figure everything out, and that's actually not what heals trauma is, having it all figured out. So there's making meaning of things, but that often happens post-healing. You don't figure your way out to healing. There's a experiential connection. You go into the realm of feeling, of memory, of experience for healing. Would EMDR help eating disorders? I hope so. It's been used for eating disorders, frequently. Bring back lobotomy. You know the guy who came up with the lobotomy won the Nobel Peace Prize? Isn't that insane? Pretty cool. Uh-oh. Here, 1 second. Sorry for the chewing noises. Here, let me put music on. What is synamic therapy? I don't know what synamic therapy is. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about your marriage. Future therapist here. Do you have an education series? I do workshops through PESI, through the Oxford Trauma Conference, Transform Trauma Conference. So I do therapy trainings through those two conferences. There's some online stuff that you can see of mine. So that's where I'd look. Art is like EMDR, but for kids. Super helpful. I've heard of art. I like it. I think it makes some improvements. It's also kind of in the EMDR camp. I don't know much about it, but I'm down. It looks like it's got some good ideas in there. Rebirth breathwork? I don't know, man. There's an echo. The sound disappeared. lost audio. Did it come back? I was scrolling up. Hello. Semantic therapy. I also don't know what that is. All right. Let's watch one more video and then we'll call it today.
Childhood.
By
How can you forgive your parents and move on from your childhood?
by realizing that they did the absolute best they could within the level of awareness that they had. Forgiveness is a misnomer. It makes us very entitled. I'm the Almighty One who gets to pardon other people. So in the question, what she's saying is my parents did something bad or wrong. No, they just did what they did, and that doesn't condone the behavior. They could have been abusive. I'm not saying that that's great, but they literally were doing all they knew based on their conditioning. And if you want to get really powerful, the person who posed the question did curate those parents for something that they're here to learn. They pick their parents because there's an opportunity for their own soul's evolution for which their parents are the perfect match. So then instead of trying to forgive them, which is only perpetuating her story that she's not where she wants to be and she's using her parents as the excuse, which is really her not taking ownership for her life circumstance. They're using their parents as the reason for why their life isn't working. It just sustains the illusion of victimhood. Life is happening to me, not for me, and then fundamentally through me. You know? So really the person to forgive is their own ego, not the parents. The opportunity is for this person to see, oh, can I choose to rise above the legacy of whatever those behaviors are without any sense of blame or shame, and therefore there's no forgiveness. There's just an opportunity for me to become a much more powerful and free human being.
Incredible. How can you forgive your...
Let's watch that one more time because there's a lot there.
That they did the absolute best they could within the level of awareness that they had. Forgiveness is a misnomer. It makes us very entitled. I'm the Almighty One who gets to pardon other people. So in the question, what she's saying is my parents did something bad or wrong. No, they just did what they did, and that doesn't condone the behavior. They could have been abusive. I'm not saying that that's great, but they literally were doing all they knew based on their conditioning. And if you want to get really powerful, the person who posed the question did curate those parents for something that they're here to learn. They pick their parents because there's an opportunity for their own soul's evolution for which their parents are the perfect match. So then instead of trying to forgive them, which is only perpetuating her story that she's not where she wants to be and she's using her parents as the excuse, which is really her not taking ownership for her life circumstance. They're using their parents as the reason for why their life isn't working. It just sustains the illusion of victimhood. Life is happening to me, not for me, and then fundamentally through me. You know? So really the person to forgive is their own ego, not the parents. The opportunity is for this person to see, oh, can I choose to rise above the legacy of whatever those behaviors are without any sense of blame or shame, and therefore there's no forgiveness. There's just an opportunity for me to become a much more powerful and free human being.
Incredible. How can you forgive your parents and move on from your childhood?
By realizing that they did the...
This is complex, you know. It's like on first watch, I really like disagreed with this, and I'm like, this is. But the more I've watched it, I'm like thinking about it. This is coherent. I don't agree with it, but it's coherent. That's hard. It's hard to admit when something is coherent and you disagree with it. Like, I don't think there's holes in that. It's just not true. But I mean, but it's like well organized. It's built. It's structurally sound. But I just think one of the pillars he built it on is not true, and then that means the thing collapses. But that's a matter of worldview. I'll explain what I mean. He says that we chose our parents. And that's fine. You're welcome to believe that. That's a spiritual point of view. Man, and this is a problem that I think I have with a lot of Buddhisms and spiritual, Eastern philosophical thought. I don't mean to put all of those in just the same bucket. I know those are all different things and have their own. I got an angry comment or two for when I talk about Eastern philosophy. I don't understand it well. Can I give that an asterisk? Here's my experience of it so far. This is not my area of expertise. This is just my experience. I'm just being honest about how I'm currently receiving it. All right, all the asterisks put in place. Whatever. Gosh, it just seems like you're pushing out the pain down the road. So this is my issue with karma, and then this is my issue with kind of this spiritualism. that views the soul as something that pre-existed the human body, and where we had agency in aligning things, past lives, the whole thing. It's like there's the big critiques of it is like, okay, if karma is true, and it's like our life circumstances are the result of our past lives, in part, then justice is always kind of kicked down the road, because then you can look at the poor, like in India, for example, and no one in northern India is all that motivated to fight for justice for those trapped in abject poverty in southern India. Because in some ways, it's like, well, that's sort of, I guess, what you deserved somewhere along the line. Or this life experience will give you opportunities to take actions that will put you into a better spot for your next life. And so we're not motivated to do much about it, but to detach from things like reforming systems or systematic justice or overturning oppressive, cultural and governmental systems that result in the suffering of individuals. And so, because we're like, oh, I guess they deserve it, and in some ways, that sounds kind of harsh, but it is somewhat empowering, because it's like if I have my negative circumstances from his worldview, let's say, like, and I'm not saying he believes in karma, I don't know what he believes, but from what he just said in that clip, it's, okay, I chose my parents. There's something empowering about that, of being like, okay, I chose these parents who I'm having so much, trouble with, and I guess there's something for me to learn here. That's probably going to lead to adaptive behavior, in the sense that you might be more understanding, you might be able to detach from it and make it less personal. You're going to feel empowered to be in the present moment instead of kind of get lost in your own narratives about how unjust the whole thing is. But because it's the same kind of thing. It's like, well, we wouldn't use the word like you deserve this, but this is somewhat of my own making, and oh gosh, hold on. We got someone in the chat that I need to kick out. I just accidentally closed out my my live. Oh gosh, hold on. That's a shame. Here. Oh, am I back? Sorry, team. You know what's weird is, like, in the live video on Instagram, I actually can't kick people out. It doesn't give me I can pin a comment. Should I pin him? That'd be funny. Bullying. Reported for bullying. Who's being harassed? Me. Are you under 18? Nope. Block, and then it reloads. Something went wrong. Just like in the live video on Instagram, I actually can't kick people out. All right, I'm not spending more time on this. I'm sorry. For the good people in the chat, go over to TikTok. Yeah, go over to TikTok. I don't know how to kick that guy out. Whatever. What are we talking about? We're talking about this video. I'm gonna play the video one more time for anyone who overturned and was here before, kind of lost the plot. This is the video that we're responding to, and then we'll close up here.
Wants to be in.
So come to that point.
How can you forgive your parents and move on from your childhood?
By realizing that they did the absolute best they could within the level of awareness that they had. Forgiveness is a misnomer. It makes us very entitled. I'm the Almighty One who gets to pardon other people. So in the question, what she's saying is my parents did something bad or wrong. Mm-hmm. No, they just did what they did, and that doesn't condone the behavior. They could have been abusive. I'm not saying that that's great, but they literally were doing all they knew based on their conditioning. And if you want to get really powerful, the person who posed the question did curate those parents. There's something that they're here to learn. They pick their parents because there's an opportunity for their own soul's evolution for which their parents are the perfect match. So then instead of trying to forgive them, which is only perpetuating her story that she's not where she wants to be and she's using her parents as the excuse, which is really her not taking ownership for her life circumstance. They're using their parents as the reason for why their life isn't working. Mm-hmm. It just sustains.
Yeah, okay, so the thing that I'm trying to kind of, I guess, critique and engage is this idea of, like, I think in Eastern thought, in what I hear in a lot of spiritual traditions, is something along the lines of like, hey, this was supposed to happen. This was kind of set up for me. Either the universe kind of brought this way to kind of bring me to the next level. I can like rise to a new level of like frequency and vibration, to kind of like not be something that's then pulled down to a lower, level, or I can, whatever the language is. I'm not a spiritual person. So it's like, it's a worldview that does help. It helps kind of depersonalize it, but it kicks the can down the road in my view. It's like, it's false, I think. I think it's not true. I don't think we picked our parents before we were born. So then I don't think this is supposed to happen. I don't think I don't think everything happens for a reason. This is my issue with Stoicism as well. It's the same kind of thing. Like, everything happens for a reason. Everything is there to kind of mature and grow you. It's the will of nature. The nice thing about Stoicism, though, is that Stoicism doesn't maybe do you any favors. That it's not really there meant to evolve you. It's almost like you get to choose in the face of it all if you evolve or if you don't. Nature's just nature. But the mature, good man or woman in the face of it, Marcus Aurelius says, is like someone who takes the moment and the pain and then grows with it and takes it in as nourishment as if it was for his or her good. Okay, fine. I'm Christian, so I think that suffering happens and injustice happens. And I think justice we should seek justice, and we should seek repair and acknowledgement and all the things. But I think that mankind is ultimately going to not be able to satisfy all that because we are in sin. And sin just means that we're dysregulated and chasing after our own desires with all the ways that we cope in ways that ultimately serve to quiet our nervous systems at the expense of the well-being of others. We try to mute our own suffering at the expense of others. That's sin and a little pocket of it. I think that's part of our nature. That's part of what we do. So healing, in therapy language, is somewhat of being able to notice, to confess, to submit to something higher than yourself so that it can be redeemed, released, and then you can walk in the image of something higher. Or in Christian words, to submit to God and be transformed into the image of Christ. Not by just striving or working harder, not with all the managers, not with all the, self-adjacent parts, but with the empowerment that comes from the Spirit of God himself for those who believe. So there's a worldview thing that really does matter here when we're thinking about some of these pieces. So like what you think about forgiveness, what you think about what you attach to, how these experiences are contributing or not contributing to your own well-being, I think, is philosophical in some ways, in all ways, maybe. And so all these therapies, that's what's confusing about therapies. Therapy kind of sits on the ridgeline between philosophy and medicine. Like it's like kind of, it doesn't do either one super well. It's kind of right in the middle. And so depending on where someone sits philosophically, religiously, whatever, you're going to frame things in different ways. Within that worldview, though, I think that's consistent and that checks out. I just think it kicks the can down the road, and it doesn't give the suffering its due. I don't think it respects the reality that sometimes suffering just happens, and it shouldn't have happened in the sense that it's unjust. And I'm not saying that means that I need to sit down and be a victim to it and just roll over. But the response in my mind is like acknowledge the evil for what it is and then choose who you're going to be in the face of it and how you're going to respond. And sometimes the answer to that, what you do in response, is you seek justice and you have a confrontation. I don't think there's any room in that worldview for confrontation because it's like, they were doing the best they could. I don't think everyone is always doing the best they could. I think not that everyone can always bat 1,000. Like, we obviously can be impaired. Like, I'm just saying that people can be curious. People can grow. people have the capacity to change. I believe that. And in a world where everything is kind of like determined spiritually, it just feels like in my mind it's just too simple. I don't know. What do you think? I've been rambling for a little bit. Sometimes I don't know how to talk about the religious stuff in a public forum like this. I don't want to go too hard, just because I know not everyone's religious. But then I feel like I'm not fully explaining myself, and I feel like I don't want to water stuff down or make it confusing. Does that make sense? Oh, wait, sorry, I messed up the thing. Let me respond to some questions here. Fair enough. I think you addressed it well. Well, that's kind. Yeah, there's a lot of theological questions we can dive into there, I guess. Yeah, well said, Will Wrong. I think forgiveness comes after healing. That's what I think. I think it's hard because we still have pieces of it that we still need witnessed. We still have aspects of our experience that haven't been fully seen. And we're still in pain. I don't think we haven't grieved at all yet. I think forgiveness comes as a fruit of grief. Never heard sin expressed like that. Yeah, sometimes saying things in therapy talk is helpful. That was my sin definition for therapy talk. It's like, what's sin? The trauma that we commit towards other people, that happen to us, the times that we indulge our negative coping mechanisms and mute our own pain or soothe our own pain at the expense of others. It's more than that, but it's not less than that. That's an interesting thought, Desiree Bebe. I do believe in karma. I just think in some way we all pay for our bad choices in some way. I mean, I think we do pay for it also. I think there's accountability in the end. But I think that accountability is before God, not within a perpetual kind of like a credit system where everything kind of gets pushed into the future. Yeah, Mary says it's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. When you talk about God, you are a spiritual person. I don't know. I identify as a religious person. That's my thought. Yeah. I agree with you. I genuinely believe that people can choose. Not everyone is doing their best at each moment. That's okay. Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of surprised at how controversial of a thought that is. You know, like people don't agree with that all the time. At least in therapy types. The therapist types don't. Hey, let me say this and then I gotta run. I have an event on Monday for parent-child estrangement. If you're working through family conflict, you should come. If you're on Instagram, Facebook, you can type the words event. That'll send you the DM. It'll go right to your inbox. You can just go to estrangement.com/live, though. If you're on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, you can get it there. So, please come. Please come. Oh, gosh. Sorry to everyone on Instagram that's dealing with the bots. I'm going to end this because the bots found us and I don't know how to kick them out. Type the word event. I'll hang out for just a minute so that you guys can get the DMs if you need. For all the vulgar bots on Instagram. I'm reading on Instagram. I'm not going to go to Instagram's chat because there's bots on it right now, but I'll read some of the comments. I would love to see a live conversation between you and Peter Crone. I mean, he's really smart. Like, I just don't and I don't know his worldview enough, I think, to substantively critique it. I can just respond to that clip, but I'm sure if we got in a conversation, yeah, like I said, I think that it's a coherent worldview. It's just a worldview I don't align with. Yeah, people are talking about Peter. All right, and then we're looking over at TikTok for the last few seconds, and then we'll head out. Yeah, well said. That's a really good point. Muting our pain is probably the biggest problem because no one can hear, not even you. All right, everybody. Grateful to be together. What a gift. Come to the event Monday. If you'd like, we're going to be doing a whole dialogue on parent-child estrangement. And you can go to estrangement.com/live if you'd like to be there. I'd love to see you. I'll talk to you soon, okay? Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.